The wind did not arrive as an enemy. It came as a messenger. In a single turning of the day, the sky shifted its robes, warmth to cold, calm to storm, light to shadow. Many looked upward in confusion and asked, "Why is nature so unstable?" But the deeper question is not about the sky, it is about our understanding. The world moves in cycles, yet the mind longs for permanence. When the morning feels like spring and the night bites like winter, we feel disturbed, not because the seasons have changed, but because our expectations have been broken. We believed the day would follow a straight path, but existence has never promised straight lines. This great clash of seasons is not chaos. It is contrast. Heat rises, cold descends, pressure shifts, and the invisible forces begin their silent conversation. What appears sudden to us has been preparing quietly, far beyond our awareness. Just as emotions gather within the heart before they overflow, the sky, too, gathers its changes before revealing them all at once. Look closely, and you will see that nature is not confused, it is precise. The warm air does not fight the cold air out of anger. They meet because they must. Their meeting creates storms, winds, and sudden transformations. This is not destruction, it is balance correcting itself. In the same way, within every human being, there are seasons. There are moments of calm like summer, moments of shedding like autumn, moments of stillness like winter, and moments of renewal like spring. Sometimes all these states can arise within a single day, and when they do, we feel overwhelmed. We say, "Something is wrong with me," but nothing is wrong. You are simply experiencing your own inner climate. The mistake is not in the change, the mistake is in resistance. When the temperature drops suddenly, we reach for warmth. When storms rise, we seek shelter. We adapt without argument. Yet when life changes just as quickly, we resist, we complain, we suffer. Why do we accept the wisdom of nature outside us but reject it within us? This rare day where 4 seasons visited within 24 hours is a teacher. It shows that stability is not found in controlling the environment, but in understanding its nature. The sky does not cling to sunshine, nor does it reject the storm. It allows both to pass. And so the lesson is simple, yet difficult to live. Do not be disturbed by sudden change. Do not cling to one state, whether it is comfort or discomfort. Life will shift just as the wind shifts direction without asking for permission. What matters is not how many seasons arrive in your day, but how you receive them. If you learn to stand still within the storm, to remain calm within the heat, to stay open within the cold, then no sudden change will shake you. You will see clearly that every clash is part of a larger harmony. The sky has not lost its balance. It is showing you how balance truly works. Sudden change is natural, not chaotic. The shifting of 4 seasons in one day is not disorder, but a natural result of unseen forces working in balance. When the sky changes suddenly, people often call it chaos. They see warmth turning into cold, calm turning into storm, and they believe something has gone wrong. But this judgment comes from limited vision. What appears sudden to the human eye is, in truth, the result of many quiet processes unfolding over time. Long before the winds begin to roar and the temperature begins to fall, the forces of nature are already in motion, moving with precision and purpose. Warm air rises gently, cold air moves to take its place, pressure builds and releases, and the atmosphere adjusts itself in ways too vast and subtle for immediate perception. The mind, however, prefers simplicity. It wants each day to follow a predictable path, each season to stay within its boundaries. When this expectation is broken, discomfort arises. But the discomfort is not caused by the changing weather. It is born from the illusion that things were ever meant to remain the same. Nature has never agreed to such terms. It flows, it shifts, it transforms without hesitation. The sudden arrival of 4 seasons in a single day is not a failure of balance, it is an expression of a deeper balance correcting itself. What we call chaos is often just complexity we do not yet understand. The meeting of warm and cold air may create storms, but these storms are not acts of disorder. They are the atmosphere finding equilibrium. In the same way, a river may appear violent as it crashes over rocks, yet its movement is guided by the same laws that keep it flowing toward the sea. There is no confusion in its path, only motion. If one observes carefully, there is a quiet intelligence in these changes. Nothing happens without cause, and nothing is truly random. The sky does not panic when it shifts from sunshine to storm. It does not resist its own transformation. It allows each phase to unfold and pass. The lesson hidden within this is simple. What we perceive as sudden or chaotic is often just a moment where many invisible threads come together at once. To understand this is to soften one's reaction to change. Instead of fearing the unexpected, one begins to see it as part of a larger order. The world is not breaking when it shifts rapidly. It is revealing how deeply interconnected and dynamic it has always been. Human suffering comes from expectations we feel disturbed not because of change itself, but because reality does not match our desire for stability. The discomfort that arises during sudden change does not come from the change itself, but from the quiet expectations we carry within. The mind creates a story of how the day should unfold. Morning should be gentle, afternoon should be steady, evening should be calm. When reality moves differently, the mind resists, and in that resistance, suffering is born. It is not the cold wind or the sudden storm that disturbs us most, it is the breaking of our inner script. From an early age, we are conditioned to seek consistency. We plan, we predict, we build routines that give us a sense of control. These patterns are comforting, but they also create attachment. We begin to believe that stability is something the world owes us. So when a single day carries the warmth of spring, the heat of summer, the decay of autumn, and the chill of winter, the mind struggles to keep up. It feels betrayed, as if something unfair has occurred. Yet nothing unfair has happened. The world has simply moved in its natural way, while the mind held on to an idea that could not last. Expectation is subtle. It does not always speak loudly. Sometimes it hides in small assumptions. This feeling will stay, this moment will last, things will go as planned. But life does not follow these quiet agreements. It shifts freely, without seeking permission. When we cling to expectation, we create a gap between what is and what we believe should be. That gap is where discomfort grows. If one observes closely, it becomes clear that expectation is a form of resistance. It tries to hold reality in place, to freeze a moment that is already moving. But nothing in existence is still. Just as the sky cannot remain in one season, life cannot remain in one state. The more tightly we hold on to our expectations, the more painful it becomes when they dissolve. There is another way to meet this experience. Instead of expecting the day to remain stable, one can approach it with openness. When warmth comes, it is received without clinging. When cold arrives, it is felt without complaint. In this way, the mind begins to move with life rather than against it. The sudden shift of seasons no longer feels like a disruption, but like a reminder that change is the only constant rhythm of existence. Outer weather reflects inner emotions. Just like the sky shifts rapidly, humans also experience emotional seasons within a short time. Just as the sky can shift from warmth to cold, from stillness to storm within a single day, the inner world of a human being can also change with surprising speed. A person may wake with calm in the heart, feel the heat of frustration by midday, sink into a quiet heaviness by evening, and rediscover a gentle hope before night ends. These changes often feel confusing, as if something inside is unstable. But this is not instability. It is movement, natural and inevitable. The mind tends to believe that emotions should be consistent. It prefers to label itself in fixed ways. I am happy, I am strong, I am at peace. But these labels are like trying to hold one season in place. They ignore the truth that human experience is fluid. Emotions rise and fall just as temperatures do. Thoughts gather and dissolve like clouds. Nothing remains unchanged for long. When a sudden shift happens within, when calm turns into restlessness or joy fades into sadness, the immediate reaction is often resistance. One may think, why am I feeling this way? Or this should not be happening. But this question comes from the same misunderstanding as when we question the sky for changing too quickly. The inner climate is shaped by many unseen influences, memories, surroundings, physical states, and countless subtle impressions. By the time an emotion is felt, it has already been forming quietly beneath the surface. To see this clearly is to remove the burden of self-judgment. There is no need to fight each passing feeling or to hold on to one particular state. Just as no one demands that the sky remain forever clear, there is no need to demand that the heart remain in one condition. Each emotion has its place, its moment, and its passing. When this understanding deepens, a certain spaciousness appears within. Feelings are no longer enemies to defeat or treasures to cling to. They become visitors, arriving, staying briefly, and then leaving. Even intense emotions begin to lose their power to overwhelm because they are no longer seen as permanent. In this way, the changing sky becomes a reflection of the changing self. Both are guided by forces larger than immediate control, and both are meant to move. When one learns to observe these shifts without fear, a quiet harmony begins to form, not by stopping change, but by allowing it to unfold naturally. Resistance creates discomfort. Accepting change, like we accept weather shifts, reduces suffering and brings inner peace. When change arrives suddenly, the first impulse of the mind is to resist. It tightens, questions, and searches for a way to return things to how they were. This resistance feels almost automatic, as if holding on could somehow stop the movement of life. But resisting change is like standing against a strong wind and demanding it to become still. The effort only creates strain, while the wind continues as it always has. Consider how naturally the body responds to shifting weather. When the air turns cold, one reaches for warmth without anger. When rain begins to fall, shelter is sought without complaint toward the sky. There is no argument with the season, no inner conflict about what should or should not be happening. The response is simple, direct, and free of unnecessary struggle. Yet when changes arise in life, unexpected events, shifting emotions, broken plans, the mind behaves differently. It resists, questions, and often suffers more from its reaction than from the change itself. This resistance comes from attachment to a particular outcome or state. The mind becomes comfortable with how things are, and begins to believe they should remain that way. When reality moves in another direction, it feels like a loss of control. But control, in the way the mind imagines it, has always been limited. Life has never paused to meet every expectation. It flows according to countless conditions, many of which lie beyond personal influence. To release resistance does not mean to become passive or indifferent. It means to see clearly what is happening and to respond without inner conflict. If a storm comes, one still takes shelter. If a challenge appears, one still acts wisely. But there is no added layer of frustration, no inner voice demanding that reality be different. Action becomes cleaner, more effective, because it is not clouded by resistance. When resistance fades, a surprising ease begins to emerge. The same changes that once felt overwhelming begin to feel manageable, even natural. The mind no longer wastes energy fighting what cannot be stopped. Instead, it moves with the situation, adapting as needed. In this way, acceptance becomes a quiet strength. It does not stop the winds of change, but it allows one to stand without being shaken by them. True stability comes from acceptance. Peace is not found in controlling change, but in calmly allowing all experiences to come and go. There is a common belief that stability comes from controlling the world outside, keeping circumstances predictable, holding on to pleasant moments, and avoiding discomfort at all costs. But the day that holds 4 seasons within it quietly challenges this belief. It shows that no matter how much one desires consistency, life does not move according to personal preference. The sky shifts when it must, the winds rise when they must, and the temperature changes without asking for approval. If stability depended on controlling these movements, peace would never be possible. True stability is of a different nature. It does not come from fixing the outer world in place, but from developing an inner steadiness that remains present through all changes. This steadiness is not rigid. It does not resist what comes or cling to what goes. Instead, it allows each moment to unfold while staying grounded within. When one learns to accept change fully, something subtle begins to transform. The mind no longer chases after certain experiences while running away from others. Warmth is appreciated without fear of its ending, and cold is endured without the belief that it should not exist. In this acceptance, there is a quiet freedom. Life is no longer divided into what is wanted and what is rejected. It is simply experienced as it is. This does not mean that all moments feel pleasant. Storms will still come, both in the sky and within the heart. There will still be discomfort, uncertainty, and challenge. But these experiences no longer carry the same weight. Without resistance and attachment, they pass more easily, like clouds moving across an open sky. The mind remains clear, not because life is always gentle, but because it is no longer in conflict with life. In this clarity, a deeper sense of peace begins to take root. It is not the fragile peace that depends on perfect conditions, but a steady calm that exists even when conditions are changing. Just as the sky remains vast whether it holds sunshine or storm, this inner stability remains untouched by the shifting nature of experience. To live in this way is to understand that change is not the enemy of peace. It is the very field in which peace can be realized.